We are a faith-based organization designed to share information about severe and persistent mental illnesses to people who are living with a severe mental illness, family members within the faith-based community and without. What I wanted to talk about today, however, or right now, is we are preparing to go into October. October is what we call Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But I wanted to read some stats because as we talk about domestic violence, let's not forget about those people who are living with a severe and persistent mental illness and how violence impacts them. Domestic violence and mental illness. And as always, I want to read a few things. Every 9 seconds, a woman in the U.S. is beaten or assaulted by a current or ex-significant other. 1 in 4 men are victims of some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. Men and women with severe mental illnesses are at significantly increased risk of violent victimization. But when we talk about men and women, men are at a higher risk of overall physical victimization, while women are at an increased rate of sexual violence. I'm going to continue to read. Abuse rates are higher among homeless women with serious mental illness. That is so true. Living out on the street, being homeless, and having a severe mental illness puts you, unfortunately, in a position to come across some very bad people out there. Many times, people who have a severe mental illness may be minding their business, under a bridge, or they're not bothering anyone, and somebody will just come up to them and hit them, beat them, or whatever the case is. I know a lot of people that I work with who have a severe mental illness. They prefer to sleep out on the streets sometimes because if they go into the shelter, they're afraid that they might be victims. And unfortunately, that is the case. Sometimes you see some people who have a severe mental illness, they're sleeping like in front of the police station or by the mayor's station or whatever the case is because they feel safe. But let me continue to read. A study of 99 homeless women with serious mental illness found that significant numbers have been physically or sexually abused by a partner. Okay? I'm going to continue to read. And I'm reading from mentalillnesspolicy.org. Individuals with severe psychiatric disorders who are not taking their medications. And I think it's so, a good thing to keep in mind that people who are not taking their medications, which means that they many times are psychotic, means they're out of touch with reality, means that they're not always able to judge situations to be safe or not safe and quick enough. Individuals with severe psychiatric disorders who are not taking their medications were found to be 2.7 times more likely to be the victim of a violent crime, assault, rape, or mugging than a general population. Multiple studies have shown that individuals with severe mental illness are vulnerable to being victimized, especially if they're not taking their medications. This involves theft of clothing, money. See this a lot in the shelter, assault, rape, or being killed. Women, as I said before, especially vulnerable. And studies continue to show that people who are not medication compliant tend to be in a higher risk to be taken advantage of. The mental illness policy goes on to say, mentalillnesspolicy.org, when people are compliant with medications and receiving treatment, they are more aware, less likely to be homeless, or more able to take care of themselves. And that's what I found. This is me saying this now. In addition to above, many people with a severe mental illness are being exploited by family members and caretakers. And unfortunately, we see this a lot. I see people with severe and mental illnesses with family members or quote-unquote friends, loved ones. They are taking advantage. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to feel safe. So what I've seen a lot of times, family members, friends, etc., they will charge them high prices for doing menial things, like taking them to the store. The store is like 10 minutes away and they charge like $100. I see them, family members, or I'll say significant others, loved ones, they take advantage of their family members by taking their check. They drop their kids off on them and make them babysit. They make them clean their house and do all these menial chores, slave-like chores, and don't give them any money. They just think they're supposed to do it. I see them, in some cases, if the person with an SMI gets an apartment, or Section 8 apartment, the family members or quote-unquote loved ones, they will move in and take over the house, right? They'll move in, they'll start doing drugs, they'll start doing a lot of illegal activity, and the person with the SMI doesn't have the power to do anything. Or if they do try to push back, then the quote-unquote significant other will kind of threaten to cut them off. And when you're living with an SMI, severe mental illness, it can be lonely. You may not have a lot of friends, and you have people who take advantage of that fact. You have people with SMIs, they get beaten by family members, yelled at, etc., etc. So as we talk about October awareness, Domestic Violence Month, let's not forget those people who are living with an SMI. Medical adherence can be expected to reduce symptoms of mental illness and thus reduce victimization. So what can we do? We can encourage our loved ones with the SMI to take their medications, and then once they start taking their medications, we can help them to kind of feel better about themselves, get into therapy, etc., etc. Okay? Now, how to help them? Understand that they need help. They may not know how to get help. It would be different if I was talking about someone who was not diagnosed with schizophrenia. You could say to her or him, here's a number to the domestic violence hotline, please give them a call. This may not be the case with the person with an SMI. If you see something, say something. Understand that they need help. Call your local mental health agency, Adult Protective Services. Every state has an Adult Protective Services department. Many victims, as I said, don't even realize that they're being taken advantage of, or they just don't know what to do. I've seen situations where men, for example, you have women who have boyfriends, right? They have boyfriends, sometimes these men are pimps, and what the two of them will do, they'll move into the guy with a severe mental illness apartment, and the woman will, give him sex and pretend like she really loves him, steal his money, just take it all or whatever, and she has her boyfriend and her living in this guy's apartment, and all he knows is that he just wants love, right? I've seen that happen. I've seen situations, unfortunately, where women who are raped, unfortunately, become pregnant. And they become pregnant, they don't know how they got pregnant, they don't know who the father is, and these children unfortunately wind up in the system, and it can be sad. So people who are victimized, people with SMI, are criminal, in my opinion, should face charges. So during this month, when you talk about domestic violence, just don't forget those who are living with a severe and persistent mental illness, who because of their mental health condition are unable to speak up for themselves. Some of them, they accept, hey, I'm getting beaten, people take my money, I'm being raped. They just expect it. They've been doing this for so long. They just, people take their money, they just move on to the next corner. But if you see something, say something. Call the police. During this month, while we encourage people to get help, to get out of domestic violence situations or violent situations, I'm encouraging you to do the same thing. If you see somebody, somebody with an SMI, and you feel they're being exploited, they're being taken advantage of, call the Adult Protective Services. You can call and make an anonymous tip. Call the police, make an anonymous tip, but do something. Don't just, shake your head, or just don't do anything. Again, it's getting better all the time, mental health outreach. Just coming back to remind you that October 29 is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And as we think about domestic violence, let's not forget those who are living with severe and persistent mental illnesses, who because of their illness, because of the symptoms, are unable to speak up for themselves. So I'm asking you to do that for them by calling the Adult Protective Services, calling the police if necessary. And I want to share, before I log off, a website. Unfortunately, there is not like one number that you can call for the entire United States, but there is I think I bookmarked it. a website that you can go on, and I'm going to post it. I should have already done it. I'll post it. It's the National Adult Protective Services Association. And you can go on this website and you can click on your state, and it'll give you the number for the Adult Protective Services in your area. There's a phone number that you can call. It's not a hotline, but you can call and you can get more information. Again, it's called the National Adult Protective Services Association. Their website is NAPSA slash, now.now.org. National Adult Protective Services Association, and they are located in Washington, D.C. Their number, 202-370-6292. Again, this is not an emergency number. If you feel unsafe, call the police. If you see an unsafe situation, please call the police. Again, this is It's Getting Better All the Time, mental health outreach. God bless you. Until the next time.